Didn't do that either. Did I do that? I did that. Hey, whoa, I'm not Marcus Onionus. This is not the Trusty 8 podcast. I don't know what you're talking about. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Okay. That's not even the song I picked for this stream, but hey, shit happens. Welcome. People can enter the room or not. It's really up to you. Jason, what's up? Good to see you. I'll be fucking up all day. I'll be streaming for a little bit here. I just had a Jehovah's Witness call me by the name of Gilbert. He's going to be calling me back next Wednesday, I think. Or this Wednesday, I don't know. It's at some point on a Wednesday. What am I doing? That's fine. And I talked to my therapist. He's a cool dude. We're going to talk again in a couple weeks. It's like every couple of weeks. He's a busy guy. I understand. That's what he does. Talking about all my problems. Let's talk about your problems and why you believe in invisible men in the sky. And there's a marmoset on my back. What's up, marmosets? Otherwise, we'll look at the stuff I learned today in therapy. And, well, I probably knew it before. I don't know. Share the screen. Do what you do, Ape. So I've been looking at this thing. It's called the Rescue Triangle. Some people call it the Drama Triangle or the Anxiety Triangle. I like anxiety being in the middle. It suits my fancy. Because I have high anxiety, so. But you're either playing, at some level, you're playing the victim, the rescuer, or the persecutor. And step out of the drama triangle anxiety thing. And there's a... Blow it up, make it big! No, don't actually blow it up. Don't derail a train. See, when I said that, I didn't know that a train was actually going to derail. That was a faux pas on my part. Sorry about those people in... Palestine or wherever, East Palestine. That sucks. That really sucks. But yeah, Stephen Cartman. I'm told this is like pop psychology or something. Who cares? Fucking Freud. Said you wanted to fuck your mother, and this guy says we're all playing the victim, the persecutor, the rescuer. So the persecutor says he disparages other people's worth, criticizes, judges, hurts, punishes, and blames people. Says it's all your fault, you can't do anything right. You persecute others to feel superior. Then you go into this rescuer mode, disparaging other people's skills. I can do it better. Look at me. I'm going to rescue you. Taking care of people without being asked. Oh, I've done that. Let me help you. I'm trying to help you, motherfucker. You can't do it on your own. It's helpful to feel superior. Yeah, that's healthy. And then there's this guy, he's the victim. He disparages himself. He feels helpless, hopeless, rejection, complaints. Oh, where'd he go? Manipulation. I can't do it on my own. Poor me. I avoid responsibilities to feel inferior. And we all play one of these roles. We all take part in this whole drama triangle. Was I sharing the screen? I felt like I was sharing the screen, but now it looks... I don't know. So, it's the drama triangle, Stephen Cartman, or the anxiety triangle, or the victimhood triangle, whatever. It's some kind of triangle, it's like a Venn diagram, which is... I find it kind of helpful. Makes a lot of sense to me. Show that for it doesn't like it for some reason. You smell what I'm stepping in? It keeps taking me back. I'm trying to show you the bottom of the triangle, and it's like, nope, top of the page, can't see the bottom of the triangle. Because that's really like the victimhood part is the important part. Like nobody wants to play the victim, whether or not you want to play the other two roles. You know, that's kind of a balance in life. But playing the victim is just fucking bullshit. Like it sucks. It sucks. Fucking big balls. Carpe diem. What's up, Hive Psi? What's up, Bree? Thank you for listening. I didn't take you for one, Jason, but, you know, you never know with people sometimes. You just gotta let people live with their stupid ideas and move on, you know. Whatever helps you get through the day. Bree, hopefully will join us on Sunday, next Sunday. Yeah, it's, what's the date on that? I can look at dates. I have a calendar. I'm a smart individual. The date for next Sunday will be the 4th of March. And no, wait, is that a Saturday? That's a Saturday. It'll be the 5th of March. Cool. Yeah, all right. Either way, works for me. And I'll be sending some exclusive invites out. Finger guns for that. Okay, we can stop sharing this one. Yeah, we'll stop sharing this one. I'm looking at this coastal town. I probably shouldn't share it. It's probably too much information, but it's within my county, very close, very accessible to me. I can still get to work in a reasonable amount of time. Very low density population, probably expensive, but you know, if I can get on housing, that doesn't matter so much, and maybe I can live in that place. Looks very nice. I don't even know if I've been there before, which is weird because I've lived here like, you know, well, a lot of my life I've been around here. Okay, who's live right now? Dragnot, Vosh. Wow, it's a busy day. Let's look at what Clearview's doing. Superhero of the internet, coming at you live. Oh, I can close that too. That would probably help. Close out my emails. I don't need emails. I don't need to read emails. What are these fucking emails about? I don't know, you people. Murdaugh. Sounds familiar to me. There's probably a lot of guys named Murdaugh, though, right? Is that an ad? It looks like an ad. I'm guessing it's an ad. Damn you and your monetization! Or I'm just going to get a spiral of death, and YouTube's going to tell me I can't watch videos today.
And, you know, I've got 10 stands in the field, and I have, before the hunt, I have it organized where I know who's sitting where. Well, I have Ellick. He says, well, can the boys come? Well, of course they can come. So now I've got to rearrange for that. Or if they said they were coming and the boys backed out, Ellick always backed out. I was thinking about this. To this day, I don't believe he has ever come hunting with me since his boys have been old enough to hunt without his boys. It's always with the boys.
Did he do other things with them?
Yeah, did sporting events, you know, football games, baseball games.
Was he close with his sons?
Very close.
Right. And how about Maggie? What did you observe of his relationship with Maggie?
It was a great relationship. I mean, all marriages, I'm sure, have hiccups here
I'm
and
sorry,
there.
I just don't know, so I got to see what this Murdaugh guy's
marriage.
even accused of.
In coming here, I was trying to think of ways that describe it. My wife and I and Ellick and Maggie, we went to a concert together. It was the Darius Rucker concert. And of course, we're sitting
Darius
there, Ellick
Rucker.
and Maggie are sitting
This guy
just below
supposedly, who did he kill? He killed, there's like a couple people, his family. Now I'm looking at it and I'm like, whoa, dude, who did this guy kill? Kill his kids? 2 counts of murder. So he had 2 kids and the wife. Behind the times. Oh, he looks like a weirdo. Oh, no, I'm not supposed to do that. Testified on Monday, the evidence suggests 2 shooters carrying out the killings of Margaret and Paul Murdaugh. But that's not the guy on trial? Who's Paul? I don't know who Paul is. Murdaugh is the guy who's accused of this, is the what's his name, Alex Murdaugh. He's the head of the family. They killed one of his sons and his wife. Is that what happened? I don't know. Forcefully denied that he killed his wife, Margaret, and son, Paul, shot dead at the dog kennels on their family estate. Okay, yeah. That's the accusation. Okay.
And I had just gone and, I hope I can say this in court, I'd just gone and bought one of those $15 beers. And I was back in my seat.
$15 beer. What's up, Jason Dutch? Good to see you. I got the two Jasons. My two favorite Jasons in the world.
Songs playing, and my wife taps me, and Alec and Maggie are holding hands and swaying together, and she was like, "Why aren't you holding my hand?" And so my $15 beer got put down.
That's
The,
an expensive beer.
They had a great relationship. I mean, that's just one of many. At football games, they would put out a tailgate spread. They would welcome the kids, family, friends. It was just a wonderful.
And they do a lot of family things together with Paul and Buster and Paul and Buster's friends.
Yes, they did. I knew of trips that they would take.
Well, that's
family
where he
trips.
fucked up right there. Naming one of his kids Buster. Buster's probably fucking in on it, dude. Like, how could you not be?
Vacations. They had a house at Edisto that y'all heard about, and they would have, they'd always have friends come over, particularly the boys' friends.
There's been some discussion during this trial about Paul leaving guns and stuff around. Did you ever experience that?
I did.
And tell the jury a little bit about your.
Stories of him leaving things, but he was notorious. He would come stay with us at our house. He would leave. Liz would have all of his clothes washed. And
This guy, I don't know who this guy is.
left
The
and didn't care about
accused.
where his clothes were. In fact, Paul came duck hunting with me one time and at Greenfield.
This guy's
I
story
smile fondly on
is
this
so
one. I
solid.
think back on all this.
It's so solid that I don't believe it.
So we had a great duck hunt. I think there were 3 of us in the blind.
You got like the most concise memory of any person ever. I don't. He's just, whatever. Graham Gould, Jesus Christ is God. Come at me, bro.
That's not going to
No.
heaven. That's
Oh,
our
he's
flesh
doing an
that
open
will get
just
left
thing.
behind here on this earth,
Challenging.
and it is our new spirit that will go to heaven.
The Lord Jesus Christ and by the Spirit of our God. And so if it is the case that a person who engages in this kind of lifestyle can't be forgiven, well, then it would also be the case that the other things that Paul mentions there would be unforgivable. And so all of us would be in quite a quandary. So that's my quick answer to Steve Anderson's claim that people who are given over to this particular sin can't be saved. The Bible doesn't teach that. All right,
And in case you're not aware, Steve Anderson is a so-called independent Baptist. He's one of these what's called new independent fundamental Baptists who are heretics pretending to be Christians. They are not independent Baptists by any normal definition.
Well, I mean, that's a strong claim coming from a Christian, because if you are a real Christian, you're accusing this man of heresy, you better take him out and judge him and burn him, sir.
Are people who are not born again, who are hateful and nasty and rude and disgusting.
Maybe you could use some animal entrails to determine Anthony Rogers' true intentions.
They teach that repentance is not necessary for salvation. They teach King James only. If you don't use the King James, you're not born again. That's how serious they are about it. Show me where Scripture says you must use the King James. Scripture doesn't say that.
Oh yeah, King James wrote that.
Doesn't say it anyway.
What's up,
Nothing
William?
even
Good to
close
see you.
that. The closest you can get to that is that Scripture says that it will stand forever. But when that was written, when that was spoken, English didn't even exist. So it is beyond lunacy, beyond. It is a demonic form of stupidity and evil to claim that the King James is the inspired word of God. No, it's just a translation. God never promised that he would preserve translations and that they would be perfect. It's the Hebrew and the Greek.
No, God did say that he was going to give like the perfect word. I don't know exactly where. It's somewhere in the book where he's like, no, I'm telling you this stuff. It's all the best stuff. Like all you got to do is read this book. Everything's going to be great. That's what God said in the book.
That's perfect. Oh, I don't speak those languages. Okay, well, do some more study then. And have some humility. God didn't need to speak to you in your language. You've got translations, you've got scholars that are telling you what the Hebrew and Greek is saying in your language. What about all those people that don't have it in their language yet? There are still millions of people in our world that do not have the Bible in their language. Why are you so special? You're not, you know. But they also teach that homosexuals cannot be saved, which is a demonic lie. Homosexuals have been saved, and Scripture tells us such were some of you. Right there in that same passage that Anthony was just talking about, 1 Corinthians 6, 9 to 11. God saves sinners of all types.
Oh, wait. So now homosexuality is still a sin, but you can be saved regardless of your sexual orientation. Unless you're a pedo, right? Because pedos are in the Bible? Where did God say you couldn't have pedos? Show me that verse. I don't know. Who am I to judge, your godliness, Graham? That's quite enough for me. Willie D was making me laugh yesterday. Let's see if we get another laugh out. One more reason Jim Crow all-white jury should be banned forever.
What's up, family? On January 15th, 65-year-old grandmother Betty Smith traveled to the Lindemann grocery store in Austin County, Texas, to purchase ice cream and honey buns for her special needs son, and was jumped by three white employees. Three white employees that the Austin County Sheriff's Department refused to arrest, and that the Austin County Prosecutor's Office failed to indict. But don't worry.
Now, this is an odd story. I'm going to have to look more into this because I don't think Willie's going to actually provide us the evidence here. But okay, yeah, let's continue.
The good brother Cornell X and Dr. Candace Matthews is on the job.
Oh yeah, good to see you, Hillary's emails. Thank you for listening.
They will be in Belleville, Texas on February 28th, that's Tuesday, to demand that the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI take over the case, since the folks in Austin County appear to be incompetent. Incompetent in regards to justice. Fam, I got the press release right here. Yeah, man, it's going down. It's going down. It is absolutely heartbreaking. It's totally disrespectful for all the work that Black folks have put in on this country, that we still can't get a fair shot. Just can't get a fair shot. So, what Cornell and Candace is recommending is that from this point on, there are no more all-white juries. I can dig it. That's right. Give me a jury of my peers, man. Give me a jury of my peers. I got a few white friends, but most of the friends that I have, they are Black. I need to see some black folks. That's right.
Okay. Well, while I tend to agree with some of these points, yeah, you should look for a diverse jury. At the same time, you're also supposed to have a randomly selected jury of members of the community. It's not really, you're not supposed to actually select the people, because that in of itself would be the racist thing. If you were to purposefully select an all-white jury, that would be that thing. But you're talking about intentionally selecting black people to, because you think there will be inherently a racial bias, which is a weird and interesting presupposition. Maybe there's some truth behind it. I don't know who's spoofing who over here in the side chat, but y'all play nice now. But I'm looking at this, and the first story I found was actually case 2017, where another woman actually did kill her special needs child, but that's not this story. This is 65-year-old Betty Smith of Industry. The town's called Industry, with a population of 304 people. I'm looking at the sign right now. 304 people came to the store just before 7 p.m. to pick up ice cream and a honey bun for her special needs son. Before making the purchase, Smith said she found a $50 bill on the floor. The clerk told her that she thought it might belong to a friend of hers that was in the store earlier. As she attempted to leave, video surveillance shows one female clerk grab the $50 bill from her, while another female clerk and a male clerk restrained her, and then a brief shoving match ensued. She found some money on the floor. They also locked the door to prevent her from leaving. She told the TV station she feared for her safety and called for her granddaughter for assistance, which is very sensible. Like, this woman doesn't, like, if you find some money on the ground and somebody's like, I think that belongs to my friend. Yeah, well, why don't you get your friend to come over here and claim it? Because otherwise I'm not giving you $50. Why the fuck should I give you $50 I found on the ground? That doesn't make any sense. Now you're going to restrain me and lock me in the store. If I was myself an able-bodied male individual, well, first of all, this shit probably wouldn't have happened to me. Also, I'm white, so, hey, the people of Austin County probably, think I'm just fucking fine. I don't know. But in the second place, I would have knocked that bitch out. I mean, like, yeah, you take this money when you pry it from my cold dead fingers, but, that's just me. I don't know. We'll let Willie talk again.
I need a fat shake. I need to feel like, man, you know my background. You got some type of empathy. You look at me as a person, as a human being, the way white folks on those juries and who are judging. And
what is she even being tried for? I don't understand what are the nature of the charges, because it sounds like this woman reported that she had been unlawfully placed under citizen's arrest in the store for finding money on the ground, right? Which is stupid. But what are the charges?
and who are prosecuting look at the defendants in their cases, and in many cases, the victims. I need you to feel something for me. I don't need you to look at me when I walk in and like, oh, he's the enemy based on color. Because you see, all of us have implicit bias. Every last one of us have some degree of implicit bias. And we take that with us to the job. We take that everywhere we go. The problem in the judicial system, and when it comes to law enforcement, is that when you take that implicit bias with you on the job, people's lives are affected. People can be killed. People get their freedoms taken away. I'm not with that.
But I didn't hear any of that actually happen. You're hypothesizing, Willie, but what happened was this lady got locked in a store with some random people who grabbed on her a little bit over some money that got dropped on the floor. I don't hear any abusive law enforcement going on in this story. You're just making that shit up in your head.
I'm not with that at all. Shouts out to Cornell and Candace for doing the work. I know that they are under immense pressure, oftentimes from people who look just like them, the people that they're fighting for the most. Ungrateful mother, boy, I'm telling you, man, ungrateful will sit back and complain about what they're doing. They'll complain about what people like Cornell doing and people like Candace is doing while they do nothing but complain. It's okay to complain, but after you complain, do something about it. And
I mean, I agree with Hillary's emails. There's probably some precedent behind this where they know this chick, you know, she may be behaving badly. They had trouble catching her. But doing this didn't help. You know, this is not the way the law is supposed to work. If you're, you know, even it's entrapment at worst. If you drop the money there, expected the person to take it, it's entrapment. We know it is entrapment. You don't just go out performing sting operations on people, because that's not the way this really works. So there's a fine line between doing your due diligence as a citizen and just being a dick and thinking you're going to get somebody wrapped up in a legal dilemma, and which in of itself is obstruction of justice.
And that's what they're doing. So I'm with it. I'm especially with anybody who would stand up to this wicked system, because you're not going to have any problems if you're not fighting for black people. You're only going to have problems in this country if you're standing up for black folks. You know, think about it, fam. The black folks that are just chuck and jive and all that kind of stuff, they don't really have any issues out there. They don't really have issues because they play the game. But man, if you black, man, they finna check you out, man. They finna look everywhere. They trying to find something on you. And the trip part about it is that before you can even get to them other folks, you got to get through your own people. Boy, them black gatekeepers, man, they got to go.
You don't say. There are people in particular communities, right? It doesn't matter what community you're in. White community, black community, atheist community, theist community. I'm in a Christian church. There's a number of people who have been in this church for a number of years, and most of the people here trust them, and they want to size me up, make sure that I'm coming here for the right reasons, doing the right things, and I'm not just some frickin' grifter who wants to come, you know, get a handout and then fucking move along. You don't say gatekeepers. I hear a lot about this gatekeeping thing, and I'm like, whose gate is it? Whose property are we adjacent to? Is there a sign posted? No trespassing, keep out. Or is this just, you know, normal people behaving like normally in public spaces? I don't know. Help me. It's also confusing logic.
So the backstory on this case is that Betty Smith walked into the grocery store to buy the ice cream and honey buns for her special needs son, who she left in the car while she went in right quick.
Wait. Okay, she left the kid in the car. We left that detail out of it. She went there, she left the kid in the car. How old's the kid? We need the details on this. She's a special need kid left in the car. It was at night, so it wasn't hot. You know, the kid's probably not gonna, you know, like end up, you know, dehydrating or dying in there from heat exposure or something, right? But you have a special needs kid left alone in the car. That's your first problem. That's the thing you should have addressed instead of whatever the fuck you're talking about honey buns and $50 bills on the floor. Why'd you leave your fucking kid, your special needs kid, in the car? Was that justified? Was that reasonable? That would be my first question, but I don't know. Whatever you're talking about.
Check out. She notices a $50 bill on the floor. She picks it up and says, "Oh, my lucky day." Cashier overhears her and says, "No, you can't take that. That might be my friend's who just left. It might belong to my friend who just left."
Bullshit. Cashier was trying to be greedy, thought she was going to take some money for herself or whatever. Think she's got some claim of ownership over the store because she's on the job. Like, no. Like, don't make up some bullshit excuse. Be like, no, you're not taking that money. Do whatever you're gonna do, but don't create a false scenario where it doesn't exist. That might belong to my friend who just left. I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't looked at my cameras yet. Well, that sounds like a you fucking problem.
And she's like, no, no, no. So the woman tried to take it from her. And then as she resisted, the two other, a man and a woman, two other workers, they attacked her. Betty said,
Placed her unlawfully under citizen's arrest for a crime they have no proof was ever committed. Right. So these people should be on trial, not the woman. Fair enough. Good.
Pink was particularly aggressive. And she was fighting for her life. She said, woman put her in a chokehold and everything. I believe it was her granddaughter or her daughter came up there. She called her daughter and she came, the granddaughter or the daughter, she called him, and then they came up there, and then the police arrested them. This is why it's important.
Well, okay, so Hillary's emails. No, I haven't. I just saw whatever the main article on Fox was, so that's all I looked at right here. When you say shoplifting, theft of cash, okay, the cash was on the floor. She didn't steal it. She found the cash. That's not a crime. If she's shoplifting because she ended up leaving the store without paying, it's only because it appears they placed her under citizen's arrest before she was able to do that. She would have paid with that found $50 bill. It wasn't stolen. As far as I know, finders, keepers, losers, weepers is still law out on the street. If you don't have proof that it was yours and somebody else finds it, you're fucked, right? You got to have some kind of evidence, but I don't know. Resisting arrest, a citizen's arrest, that's a slippery slope because now the onus is on the citizen. They have to prove that they did the correct thing for the correct reason. Even if they believed that there was a crime in progress, that would be okay. But you can't use an unreasonable amount of force, especially for something like shoplifting, which is why loss prevention is such a tricky job. Now, this is a different state, different laws. In California, we're a bit stiffer on security agents, but I mean, going by the rule of law and the rule of logic, it sounds like these people decided they were going to do some kind of intervention, which was totally irrational in this case. And it should be the store employees who are going on trial for, there's probably a couple different crimes we could cite there. SPM, good to see you. Secular pagan mom, Jesus was pagan too. I'll check your page after I finish this and see if we can get another view on the story.
To have people like Candace and Cornell on the front lines, because if not for them, this case is swept under the rug. They returned no indictment. There was no arrest made for this woman. This woman was assaulted. No arrest made, no indictments. And that's another thing. Before you can ever even get to an indictment in Texas and in many other places in America, you got to get through the Klan jury. That's right, I said it. Klan jury.
So now he's just mad about white juries in Texas. The Klan jury? Dude, you're just... Okay, look. Where you are, they take a random group of people in your locality, and the location that you're being tried in, probably the city or county that you reside in, and they take a random fucking group of people and they just put them in a box. That's it. That's jury selection. Like, oh, they're not felons. They're not, there's like certain criteria, but they're just regular ass people like you who represent some percentage of the population in your community. So you're actually mad that there aren't more black people in Austin County. That's what you're really mad about. And I'm very sorry to disappoint you, but I can't help you there.
It's mostly made up of white folks who don't like black people. That's right, I said it. It is very difficult to find some people who are objective in those Klan juries. Very difficult. Because they go in there with the same mentality that many of these racist police officers have. The judicial system is stacked against us. A whole bunch of uncivilized mutts. It is almost impossible to get a fair
I
shake.
love how this guy, just like yesterday, he wants to accuse somebody of being a hate monger and then call them scum, uncivilized mutts. What, if anything, like this is the reverse of the language you're trying to get away from, and you're actually using it against other people who you don't even know. Willie, come on, man.
Man, if you are innocent and get a slap on the wrist, you feel like it's a win. Damn near, it's almost feel like a win. Well, at least they didn't put me in jail for 30 years. And they only gave me 18. I know I ain't do the crime, but damn, I had to sign it because, man, they got the jury. Boy, they come in there, man, that if you got a public defender, oh, you damn sure finna get sold up the river. But let's say you go in there, they gonna go in there and try to say, hey,
I
man,
disagree. Because I got my one and only case that I actually had to go and defend myself with a public defender. I went in there and I had done my research and I freaking did due diligence and I knew what my case was and how I was arguing in my own defense. My public defender backed me and guess what happened? I got a fucking deal. I got a deal and my record got expunged. Wow. Over a pot charge. Imagine that. Something really minor that the cop, who happened to be a black guy, blew totally out of proportion. And then he didn't show up to court, and I won with a public defender. So it is possible if you're not a dumbass. I mean, it's possible.
like, look, even when you got a paid lawyer, a lot of times a paid lawyer, he's not interested in your innocence. He don't care. To them, a lot of them run meals. They run meals. So they treat people like case numbers. And they're just trying to get in and get out, get in, get out, work the deals as fast as they can. Okay, look here, man, or we could do this if we go in here and then, if you say you're not guilty, then, we can take it to trial and, it might give you 15. 15 is the max, but I'm pretty sure I can go in there and get you 5. They do this stuff all day, every day, fam. And you wonder why people plead guilty for crimes they didn't commit. Because they have people who work within the system, professionals, prosecutors, lawyers, who will get in your ear and tell you, look, this is what it looked like. And then you start thinking about all of these resources these people have and how you ain't got as many. Even if you got some money, man, they're going to run through your pockets. And you still may not be able to match their professionals that they're going to call to that witness stand. They got an expert for everything. Expert this, expert this, expert. It's hard to match him. So a lot of times people just plead guilty when they're totally innocent. It's a cold game. It's a cold game. But man, I'm giving these people their flowers, man.
I mean, I agree, Hillary's emails, and I do agree with Willie on some points. I think he generalizes a bit too much for my liking, but we do have a corrupt system. We do have a lot of cultural bias that we need to do away with. We need to address that. But on the other hand, when you're covering current events and you're saying shit like this, it's not actually educating anybody. It's just outraging people. It's making people more confused, more afraid, not understanding what's really going on, and that's not going to help solve any of these problems. We need people who are speaking logically about the events that are happening in the world, not out of some emotional knee-jerk reaction. So we'll let Willie finish and then we're going to switch gears.
And all you activists out there, man, I'm going to give y'all flowers, man, because it's not easy being in this country fighting for justice, especially if you're fighting for the justice of a black person. It's a cold, cold game. Miss Betty, keep your head up. You're going to be all right. I think they're going to move the needle on this. One thing I do know, it will not be swept under the rug. No more talk.
What the haters talking about?
There you go. So while I understand the frustration, again, it's the way you handle the situation. I think this woman seems to have handled it as appropriately as she could have, and now the media is going to spin it whatever way they want. But I don't think any reasonable jury is just going to look at her, see a black woman, and say, she's guilty. No, if they're looking at the evidence, if they're looking at the facts, we're probably going to reach a reasonable conclusion that these fucking guys, whatever, they overstepped their bounds, and they need to just take a step back, not try to arrest people for bullshit, because they think they can do that in Austin County, apparently. Because I know very well, as a security guard, this is my fucking job. If I need to place somebody under citizen's arrest, I better be good and goddamn sure they committed a crime in my presence. Otherwise, I'm getting fucked. I'm getting shafted. That's the way this works. Sorry to tell you, that's the real world, folks. And we're living it. We're living in it. Oh, imagine it. Many thanks. I got Secular Pagan Mum, Hillary's emails, Jason Jacoby, Jason Dutch, William Freeman. I saw Bree at Hive Psi here in the side chat. Everybody, much love. Had a very productive meeting with my therapist, and we scheduled a second meeting, or this was our second meeting, our first official going deep after the intake. And, I'm me, so I'm over here spilling my fucking guts out. But, like I said, it's better than spilling your guts on the internet to, perfect strangers or some people who are your friends, support you, but they're still like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you keep hitting yourself? Okay, I'm not entirely following the side chat right now, so enjoy yourselves. Staying on topic, damn it. I'm looking up Russia's on YouTube. I just wanted to see what was going on with the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and I've been watching In Time, so that helps me stay up to date. And I get to see sensible people on the ground. Oh, here's Putin. CNN's covering, so this should be juicy.
Recordings just got better.
I know.
Hey,
stop
it's
telling.
StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local recordings
So loud.
are now
So
available
fucking loud.
on StreamYard.
Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine is certainly not going as he intended. But on the home front, his dreams may be coming true. That was the thrust of a terrific New York Times article by the paper's Moscow reporters, Valerie Hopkins and Anton Tryanovsky. Valerie joins me now from Moscow. Welcome, Valerie. I want to ask you to start by talking about something that I found very interesting in reporting you've done before this article, but including this article, which is President Biden has said a couple of times, I think, once the body bags start coming back, the Russian people will stop supporting this war, or words to that effect. And what you found is that the body bags are coming back, but it is actually increasing the support for the war. Explain what's going on.
Well, thank you very much, Fareed, for having me. And I wish I didn't have to talk about this with you today, but it's true. In my reporting across Russia, what I've found when talking to people, mothers of those who have been lost or relatives, people are finding that their losses are actually making them support the war even more. They're starting to feel it even more. And of course, the Kremlin has refused to actually release the full statistical data of how many people have been killed, how many soldiers have died in this war. They've only released them intermittently, and I believe the last full count was in September at 6,000, while Western intelligence estimates that there have been 200,000.
Hello. How you doing?
Well, hello. Pretty good.
All right. 200,000, man. That's some. Those are some big numbers.
Yes.
Do you have thoughts you want to share about the Russia-Ukraine conflict, or anything we were talking about earlier, or?
Well, without the actual charging documents, because I came in late, so I can only guess what happened based upon that short video that you showed. I mean, the video from the store, and what the guy was saying. I had to read the subtext. but without the charging documents, it's hard to say. But if the camera footage supported her version rather than the employee's version, they would have been facing indictment for felony unlawful restraint, and they'd be off to prison or at least parole or probation. So I just kind of smell that there's more to the story than we're being told. As far as Russia, Ukraine, go ahead.
I've got an update now that says that the Austin County decided not to file criminal charges against this woman, but she is now filing a counterclaim that they assaulted her over the $50 is what's going on. So I don't know where he was going off on, like, all white juries and stuff, that's what I was saying. Like, it doesn't really seem like a very logical perspective on the situation. I don't know if this is what's going on, which is why I kind of enjoy getting my news from this guy and trying to figure out what's really happening. But
yeah. Well, when I used to work in Houston, I would always tell people, they'd always complain about how corrupt the system is. And I'd always ask, well, when's the last time you did jury service? Oh, I ain't got no time to be fooling with that. Well, then whenever you get arrested for some BS, you know, there's nobody to cry to because you weren't willing to stick up for your neighbor. So there's not going to be anybody to stick up for you either. And I bet you that's what happened, you know, in Belleville, because I've been there. I've had a girlfriend's family that lived over there, had many friends, and there are plenty of black people there, plenty, but they don't want to do jury service. Either they got to work or they can't find somebody to take care of their kid, because you get like $15 a day for jury service and you'd have to spend like $60 for daycare. So, you know, that's the problem. They got a whole bunch of retired white people, I'm sure, and maybe a couple of middle-aged, but that's the problem with these types of juries, is it tends to be elderly, and the racial amount varies totally by region, because there are some places it's going to be almost 100% Hispanic, but you know, that's probably what happened.
I was musing about this very thing last night on another stream over at Kat's channel, and I was, the last time I was called up for jury service, I ended up in jail for a couple of days. And then so I was like, they never came after me for missing jury duty. You know, they were just like, oh, this guy's probably got other shit going on. But I didn't like try to get out of it. Things just happened. But I wasn't penalized for it. You know what I mean? I mean,
you tell the
maybe
jailer
there's still something in the...
Did you tell the jailer that you're supposed to do jury service?
No, I didn't bother. I missed a job interview. I was more worried about missing my job interview. The jury duty totally slipped my mind until like the next week.
Well, it would have been hilarious if you had told them, and then, you know, they had to take you in there in the orange jumper for because I almost guarantee the defendant would definitely want you to be one of the jurors.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that, of course, when you get called up, you have no idea who or what, you know, they just give you a number and a date and a time, and that's it. They don't tell you what you're looking at. Like that would be presenting a bias. So
yeah, it's usually a jury pool, and then they'll take one case and select the jurors first for that one, and then the second one they'll get more, and then the third one is whatever's left over, which is usually a misdemeanor or traffic or something really minor.
So as far as the case of citizen's arrest, I know the California law is very specific that you have to have some tangible evidence that somebody has committed a crime in your presence, you have witnessed it personally, and you've taken the reasonable steps to assure that that person cannot flee the scene until law enforcement arrives. That's what a citizen's arrest is supposed to be.
It's wide open here. If they saw her take $50, that they could be certain in their mind, even if they couldn't prove it, if they could be certain in their mind that $50 didn't belong to them and she was taking it from store property, then they had the right to do whatever was necessary to prevent the immediate consequences of theft, is the way the law is written. So locking the door.
Is it theft if you find a thing that happens to be on the ground and there's nobody there to claim ownership?
Okay, if I go in and take $50 worth of soda and canned soup off the shelves and say, "Hey, finders keepers, I just found it," it's the same deal. The $50, they've got cameras. They could probably track down who it was. It couldn't have been very long since the person dropped it, or someone else would have noticed it. So I'm sure that they did have, and there's probably an employee in the aisle that saw her reach, and they were maybe even were walking toward the money, and then she walked over and picked it up, and then the employee said, hey, hold on. And then that's where it went from there. The woman said, nope, she thought like you, and hey, this is my money. If I found it on the street, I could keep it. Why is it different because I'm in a store? Well, that's it. You're on private property. You can't just take something that's not yours.
Well, then, okay. So you, in that scenario, you may assume that the person who is working at the store was on their way to retrieve that money, try to get it back to the rightful owner. But we don't have, again, the onus is on the person who stopped the other person, who wasn't committing a crime. They don't have evidence that person was even out to steal at that point.
Okay, you're saying that, but you don't know the Texas statutes. She did commit theft of $50 cash. It doesn't matter what her intent was. Once the employee identified through the woman's confession, probably, that it was not her money, it didn't matter. That's store property, and it's up to them to either get it back to the rightful person, or it goes to the store owner if it's lost on his property.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't know Texas law that well, so I'm trying to feel the situation out. But I see where you're coming from there. All right, yeah, we can. So on to Ukraine. What do you think about this conflict with Russia and Ukraine?
I lived in Russia for a year. I know that the Russians hate war, and they were totally against this, and there were huge demonstrations against it when it first started. But Putin was so heavy-handed in arresting people and, shipping people off to the front that everybody's just apathetic now, that they have a total blackout on any foreign news. So all that they're getting is whatever Putin wants to put out. And so that's the only information they got. So now they're starting to think, well, maybe Ukrainians really did do something wrong. Why would we be attacking if they weren't? It's the same old stuff, just like America was with Vietnam. Except much tighter over there.
It seems to me that, and people may argue this about the United States, but it seems more and more to me like Russia is living more in a state like that imagined by Orwell in 1984. That's the thing we're really trying to avoid, but it seems like they are an embodiment of that.
Yes. Ever since he took power at New Year's Eve of 2000, it's been drifting more and more this way, and he just uses he'll sit back and wait for opportunities, and then as soon as they present themselves, he'll seize it.
Yeah, and Putin was an intelligence officer, so he understands the way this works. Very much like Hitler, he has an eye for how propaganda works, and he just wants to retain power by any means necessary. That's all that's important to him.
And he wants to make a big splash for history because he's got cancer. He doesn't know how much longer he has to live. He wants his name to be in the record books, in the history books, as somebody that did something wonderful for Russia.
And do you think he doesn't realize that he's going to end up on the Hitler side of history, where they're going to remember you, but not for very good reasons, Like that's maybe a bit of short-sightedness.
In Europe, they may say that, but in Russia, the history books are going to be whatever the Russian, power structure is whenever the books are printed. So he probably will be the great savior of humanity.
I feel like that type of propaganda only goes so far. Now that we have the internet, I can talk to people in Russia. I can talk to immigrants over here. There is really not such a barrier on information as there used to be. So I really feel like people who are going to be indoctrinated into that, okay, it will it will subsist for a time, but there has to be a point where you're choosing the information that you're receiving. Like once you become an adult, you're of age, you have access to all these other resources, you can either choose to listen to a broader perspective or engage in whatever narrative is spun for you by your government, by your culture.
I understand what you're saying, but at the beginning of the war, the Russian people were very much against it. But a year later, after they've been hearing all the propaganda and indoctrination, and it's just hammering them over and over. I mean, they're almost like a Manchurian candidate. The only thing that they have heard is, you know, the rest of the world is full of Nazis out to get Russia and be horrible. And so people that I know that were very pro-Ukraine in the beginning now are like, I don't know, you know. So I just think, and these people still have access to the internet. They still talk to me online. So it's just when you get bombarded by it all the time, it's just like religion. The cognitive dissonance kicks in. You start making excuses for the evidence. But who knows? I mean, it's all depends on how it ends up. You know, if Putin totally gets his butt kicked and driven back into Russia, with maybe even losing some of the ground that he had from a few years ago, then yeah, it'll look bad for him. But if he makes any gains, like maintaining Crimea and, you know, keeping the southeastern area, then it'll come off as a win. Even if it's a negotiated peace, they'll claim it's a win.
Do you think ultimately, historically, we're going to remember this by the outcome of the conflict, not the nature of the conflict itself?
In the West, no. We'll think about what led up to it. But over there, it's just like with Japan in World War II. You know, they don't cover really anything except for Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Right. Well, and it's important. I think that's like some important historical context. Like Germany seemed to get the message because we made them clean up their mess after World War II. Whereas with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we had to take culpability in acknowledging that we harmed innocent civilians, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we didn't need to do that. So then we have to clean up that mess, and that's our responsibility as a nation, right?
Right. What I mean, though, is the Japanese citizen doesn't hear about the rape in Nanking. They don't hear about our perspective on Pearl Harbor, although our perspective is kind of wrong. And they just hear things from the Japanese side, and so they don't understand why did we get nuked? We didn't do anything worse than anybody else was doing.
Yeah, it would seem so. I don't know. Yeah, it's a very interesting place to be in history, and something that's still evolving. But I think it shows, it gives more credence to unity amongst humans, whatever nationality you belong to. Like, we've been able to work with the Japanese, whereas the Japanese were an isolationist culture nation, as we were prior to that point, right? And the Japanese are still a bit more isolationist than we are, but they have their own war-torn history to concern themselves with. So it makes sense, but even they are moving more towards unity. I think that's the message we could take with us in the future.
Yeah, anybody that wants to be a vibrant world power and have good commerce with other countries has to kind of see things from other people's perspectives. You're right.
All right. Oh, I don't. Have you seen this CNN piece? I'm like,
No.
I'll play the CNN piece. Just it's there, and then we can talk more about it. But I think you have great perspective, and not just being contrarian for the sake of it, presenting a reasonable argument. I appreciate that. So,
Thank you.
1,000 killed and wounded in this war, Russians only. So, of course, many Russians, most Russians don't know the full extent of this, but my reporting and reporting by other colleagues who remain in Russia and who have spoken to the mothers and relatives of these soldiers find that that this makes them support it even more because, you know, they feel a concrete sense of loss. They do believe the propaganda that the government has been pushing, not only for the past year, but also before, but it has really ramped up this year, is that the West seeks to destroy Russia. And this is an existential struggle for Russia's survival against the West. And they also are increasingly buying the line that, you know, actually the West was preparing an invasion and that Putin was smart to preemptively invade Ukraine. It's quite surprising and quite shocking, but this is where we are right now, 1 year in.
You talk also.
So I find that interesting that they're saying that the West was trying to preemptively take control of a situation that did not yet exist, although we had been talking about it for a while. And we had the conflict in Iran a few years ago kind of sparked this whole thing off, and whether or not our leaders were in bed with their leaders and why that's a big deal to us. So there's been people, obviously, in the U.S. saying that Putin's a reprehensible individual, has been for a long time, and that we just shouldn't support his actions, and that Donald Trump maybe made a faux pas by seeming to agree or align with his tactics. How do you think that applies, or is there?
I agree 100% with what the woman said. They were being told that that NATO was going to have Ukraine join NATO, and that way they could put military bases right on the Russian border, you know, basically, and that that Putin had to launch this invasion just to protect Western Russia. And so they're totally rewriting history over there right now.
So the history of Russia and Ukraine is a bit complicated because the Ukrainians, right, they had to fight their own civil war in order to gain independence, which is something we tend to support in the West. Like, if you want political independence, and you're doing so in a reasonable way, right, that we can make sense of it, we're going to try to support that endeavor. Why are we wrong about that? What do you think? What is the part of the narrative that we are missing?
I don't think we're missing anything. We're doing the best that we can. We should have gone in. Number one, I wouldn't have made it public about Ukraine joining NATO. I would have just had a secret, you know, discussion, had a closed door vote, and either they got in or they didn't. And once we knew that Russia was going to continue their expansionist aggression, we should have put troops over there just as a tripwire to say, you know, maybe these are only 10,000 token troops, but if you cross the border, you're going to have to go across us. Then, you know, you got a major war with a major world power. And we were supposed to be defending Ukraine's independence anyway because they gave up their nukes.
So it seems like Putin is doing the right thing for the wrong reason. Or wait, no, he's doing the wrong thing for the right reason.
Yes.
And we seem to have dropped the ball in this whole power game that's going on here.
Yes.
Okay. I can dig that.
Also about a much broader transformation that is taking place in Russia. I mean, this goes back a long way, the debate in Russia between the kind of Westernizers and what used to be called the Slavophiles, you know, people who thought Russia's destiny lies with the West, and those who said, no, Russia is its own distinct, unique creature. You say that this war has helped almost finally, in a very decisive way, move that debate in one direction, right?
Absolutely. Well, as you read in the article, one of the businessmen very close to President Putin, Konstantin Malafeev, expressed his joy that this war, or he expressed some degree of pleasure, we can say, about the fact that this war continues as long as it did. You know, as you know, initially when this was planned, it was planned as a blitzkrieg. They thought they could take Kiev in 3 days, change the government and just occupy. But instead, you know, this has required a societal transformation. And Konstantin Malafeev, this businessman, said this is great because, you know, if the blitzkrieg had succeeded, we would still have these liberal elements of our society. But now that the longer it goes on, the more this changes into the society that Putin wants. The more liberals are either silenced or forced to flee, the more free speech is suppressed, and the more it's possible to create educational, cultural institutions and even civil society into the type of organizations and bodies that the Kremlin wants to see, which are traditional, conservative, and essentially define themselves as the antithesis to the values that the West professes to stand for.
So, in a sense, it feels to me like what you're saying, the longer this war goes on, don't expect Russia to feel, you know, that it's, oh my goodness, it's a big mistake. It's actually having the effect of making Russians double down on this anti-Western narrative and anti-Western society.
On the one hand, yes, I think, you know, in the near term, that is the case. But I think, you know, what we've learned from Russia's experience.
I felt like that was just chopping up all over the place, but I think we got the gist of the message there.
Yeah, and she's right again.
So,
yeah, the longer this draws out, you know, just like you said about 1984, you know, they can claim that the West is an external threat, that they, you know, want to choke off Russia, smother her. Well, the old line used to be smother her in the cradle, but that was like back in the 1920s. But this is exactly what Putin wants, and Putin still controls the gas that Europe wants for heat.
Oh, yeah, in the sense that natural gas pipelines, they do have a fair amount of control over that resource, but now that we have all these other, you know, people joke about Germany having like so many windmills and how effective is that, but they're, you know, actually trying to produce alternatives to that effect, right? Like they not just the harm that the natural gas causes to us, the population in general, from its byproducts, but also the fact that it causes this economic concern where now we have to have wars over these resources.
Yeah, Germany made a huge mistake when they started shutting down their nuclear power plants and coal fire plants and thought that going to natural gas would be greener.
Okay, so you're against that, the Green New Deal type of proposal?
I think that they needed to look ahead and say getting all this stuff from a natural enemy like Russia is not a good deal, because then we're dependent upon them, and if we tick them off, we're going to suffer. And if we're buying from them, we're giving them money where they can do whatever they want. So I think that they could have had green policies, like you said, with windmills, and not shut down their nuclear plant, which was very green to begin with. You know, no CO2 emissions. The only thing they got is nuclear waste.
Yeah, well, we don't want to have a Chernobyl disaster, right? Like, that's, you know, we're like, that could happen anytime. And
if you read the book or saw the show, then you know all the things that led up to Chernobyl. That was just a house of cards waiting to happen. And Germany has much better reactors. They've got like top rate reactors.
So you think we just need to have more confidence in our abilities, a little bit less of this indecisiveness that goes on when we start having these conversations, right? Like,
I just think that they need to look 5 and 20 years ahead and say, okay, well, if we shut down the stuff that we've already got, what else? What are we going to do? Are we going to be dependent upon a natural enemy to keep us warm and keep the lights on?
Yeah, well, and I think it says something to, there is that old world conservative view that says, well, most people will survive. Most people will be able to figure out a way to navigate around this problem. And it's just those few that cannot that we have to deal with in the aftermath of whatever decision we're making, right? Like, it's reducing, like, very high emission vehicles on the roadway. We can do that, and people will just adapt. And it doesn't have to be kind of a big news story. Like, it seems like the news media, in a way, they're enfranchised in taking up this business of making a mountain out of a molehill. You've made like a minor policy decision, but now it's got to affect everybody. It's got to be very serious and detrimental to the whole of society in order for the news media to keep spinning its wheels.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't want to go too far afield with that, but I have felt like detaching from regular media has made me think about things a bit more rationally, because I'm not constantly being energized on whatever topic they're presenting to me at the moment, because that seems to be kind of the way this works, right? They want to, after you get home, you have dinner, you've been at work all day, and then you're trying to unwind and go turn on the news, and now you've got some other conflict in some other country, and you're trying to figure out how this affects you, and they're trying to make it all very visceral, very emotional.
Yes.
And then we can't really take the next logical approach to the situation, right? We're not looking at it that way. It's like, I just want to finish my day and go to bed, but the news is keeping me awake tonight.
Yeah, the evening news is just like you said. It's all, emotionally targeted to get people upset. I haven't watched the news for a long time, but I'll either read it from a source that I trust to be somewhat unbiased, or at least I know what their bias is and can correct for it, or I'll watch like a debate on C-SPAN. I love watching that in the morning, and people get on and discuss different topics, because they're not emotional. They're just giving facts. And if they lie, it's easy to find. So they usually tell the truth.
Yeah, it makes sense. Sometimes the most boring media is the most intelligent, right? Like, it's like, you have to cut through a whole lot of whatever this is but somebody's actually stating a real argument that we're going to be able to make sense of at some point here.
Right. And you're getting both sides of it. So if somebody makes an argument, the other guy can say, oh, I need to reel you back in a little bit here. Or, you're actually downplaying this. What about this other topic?
Yeah, so my breakthrough in therapy today was acknowledging to another human being that, yes, I've been downplaying the things I was doing on social media, very risky behavior, as in terms of my job and everything like that. But it was for this ultimate outcome of being able to have a therapeutic breakthrough and be able to talk to somebody who I felt comfortable, actually voicing all my deep concerns to, right? And you need to have that other outlet. If you don't have that other outlet, you'll just kind of end up spewing nonsense out into the universe.
Have you ever spoken with St. Tommy?
I think I did on Brojo's stream a while ago briefly.
Okay. Well, he actually is a trained psychotherapist. And he was doing some of that on his stream earlier today. It didn't start out that way, but it got to a certain point, and then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream at this point, and then we can talk in private. And there were initially 4 of us there on the panel, and he was talking to one person in particular that was saying, opening up a lot about her history and things that have happened. So, you might want to talk to him. Maybe he could help.
Yeah, that's a good way. I realize I use this medium, this platform, a lot more for socialization than anything else. I mean, I do get my information this way, but once you start to take these things too seriously, again, it just gets you spun up into the propaganda wheel, where it's like, okay, now I'm not like sitting back and resting on my knowledge and my laurels and understanding the world around me. I'm depending on all these people. Codependent behavior, I guess, what it's called.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I will definitely be checking out St. Tommy over there. The last time we spoke, I think you had claimed to be a deist, and you really didn't get a whole lot of time to talk about that. Is that something you're interested in dwelling on right now, or?
If you'd like to, that's fine.
Yeah, it sounds great to me. What is your basis for deism? What the universe is God? We're all part of God's design.
No, that's pantheism. I just think that something, we can call it a god, but it may be natural forces or probability or whatever. But something laid down the laws that this universe was going to operate on. And then they just started the experiment, and they're just watching how it goes. And I don't think
kind of like it's like an ant farm, the ant farm hypothesis. Yeah.
Exactly. And he doesn't have any emotion. He's just observing the ants and seeing what they do. He doesn't intervene, normally. Sometimes, I mean, I'm open to possibly there might, could be miracles in that, but I don't know if they would be supernatural or natural or what. But yeah, he's just seeing what's going on and observing, and eventually the experiment will be over, and that'll be that.
So they just want to see what we will do. They don't want control over the things we do.
Right.
That's, I mean, it's interesting. So then you just think of the God as being like a group of scientific observers, maybe. That's kind of what that breaks down to.
Right. Either one or several, yeah.
William, Secular Pagan, behave, be nice. In the side chat, sorry. Okay. So this is just like a basic causal principle. Something must have caused this reality we experience, is kind of where you come from with that?
Yes.
All right. Well, and I can't falsify that claim. I mean, it seems to make sense. There are reasons why it might not make sense, but I can't falsify it. So, that's a tough one to wrestle with.
And as far as I can tell, it doesn't do any harm because nobody's commanded to do anything. We're just, do the best we can. Apply game theory and live our life the best that we can.
Well, but by that logic, many religions would be in error, right? By trying to command people to live a certain way, they are making a grave error in how they practice.
Yes, indeed.
Are you into behaviorism at all? Do you look into psychology
and
stuff?
Yeah, I was interested in that. I've read plenty of B.F. Skinner.
Nice. Yeah, Skinner was great. I've been reading Sapolsky a lot lately. I find him very, very informative. Uh-oh. What did I do? Somebody's pissing somebody off. I gotta look over here. I have a side chat battle. I think William has a wrench, and so does SPM. So nobody's deleting everything or anything here. William, I don't know. Wait. Green energy is fine, but it's a long way off from. Okay, maybe that's your opinion, man. Replacing our current methods. Hillary's emails is gone. Ah, I'm all alone again. Nuclear has come a long way. Bill Gates buying farmland concerns me. Is that a real claim? Is that a truth claim? All right, we'll look it up. Why is Bill Gates buying farmland? I don't know. Maybe he wants to produce more windmills. Is he buying farmland? Is the crucial question here. Thank you for coming by, Hillary's emails. If I don't get to talk to you again, any soon, or whenever. Largest owner of private farmland, according to the land report. Okay. See, I'm not into all the Gates conspiracies because I'm like, well, yeah, this guy, he fancies himself a smart person, and he bought a bunch of land. He thinks he's gonna do some stuff with. Yeah, maybe questionable. Maybe he's doing the wrong thing for the right reason or something. New report on the largest holders of private. This is from like a couple years ago. Largest holders of private farmland in the United States reveals that Bill and Melinda Gates are atop the list, with billionaire Seattle couple amassing 242,000 acres of land. According to the land report, Tri-City Herald report on 2018 on the 2018 purchase of 14,500 acres of farmland in Benton County, Washington, for a staggering $171 million. That's not a lot for a billionaire. Like when they're like, "Oh, that's a lot of money." I'm like, no. Like if you're a billionaire, you've got multiple millions, man. You don't really have shit to worry about. You're fine. Nope, not signing up. So they claim that the Gates have all of California. I highly doubt that. The Gates do not own all of California. 4,509 acres, 25,000 acres in Arizona, an acre in New Mexico. Like that's gonna do a lot. 69,000 acres in Louisiana, 47,000 acres in Arkansas. So that's a lot. But what are they doing with the acreage? That's the question. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation launched a new nonprofit a year ago focused on providing small-scale farmers in developing countries with the tools and innovations they'll need to deal with the effects of climate change. Oh my goodness, it's a big conspiracy. Help me, logic. Help me. No, I'm not terribly concerned. I mean, as far as what people, I'm concerned with the problem of homelessness. I'm concerned with all these landowners and people who own homes that are vacant because people can't afford to live in them, and then they bitch about the welfare system. And they're like, I don't know why all these people are on assistance. They just can't afford to live where I rent places because, they work 2 full-time jobs and they can't still figure it out. So I don't know what their problem is. No, nothing to see here. I'm sorry. No, if anybody's triggered, I get it, and at the same time I don't. Be logical. I'm a trusty ape. Yes. SPM. I know why Secular Pagan was triggered, but I have a but. We need to be logical about the situation. Be like, yep. As long as the property laws are the way they are, where we are, then Bill Gates can buy as much fucking land as he wants. Doesn't make a lick of difference to me whether he's helping people or not. I wish he would help more people, and maybe he claims to be trying to do so by putting microchips in their brains. Or is that Elon? Damn it! Oh yeah, we'll check Twitter. We will check Twitter. I can't deal with it. I'm losing my fucking brain. Actually, I feel like I've gained my brain again, which is an amazing feeling. Because, someday they're like, well, where's my logic? I can't logic around this. And then, you know, today I'm like, yeah, no, everything's fine. Everything's great. I can stop having unnecessary arguments with people that don't fucking matter at the end of the day. Like, they do. Everything matters, but we need to pick our battles and do it wisely. And, God, there's this really attractive female police officer I keep thinking about. I'm sorry. I can't not say it. I have to just keep putting it out there into the universe, because otherwise I'd just be a crazy person talking to myself. Stupid crazy monkey over here. Vivaldi, what an interesting character. Where he came from, but yeah, we'll follow. We have notifications. Who are these notifications from? We'll find out shortly. Thank you. Okay. Are we on the time for airdrop? Token air. I guess they're trying to sell me Bitcoin again. Yep, lots of people trying to sell me Bitcoin. I don't know. Is crypto the way to go? Because I hear people saying, like, go to crypto. And then people are like, crypto is failing. And I'm like, I don't fucking care about any of this shit. I just moved away from paper money to the plastic card, and now they want me to buy digital shit. And I don't want to buy any of it. This is a comment thread for that tweet. I just wanted to see my notifications. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there, Arbitrum. It's all your fault. Joe Biden will veto it. Greg Amfdorabri followed me, and I called him back, so we're fine. Everything's fine. Everybody's fine. Oh, and I remember these guys from the other stream. So. And I have... Oh, yeah. They're trying to solicit me. They're trying to sell me porn. Or, I don't know. Not super important. We'll leave that one alone. That's fine. If people trigger themselves, I cannot control that, William. I mean, I try to be as safe as I can. Actually, I'm a big risk taker. I want to, like, jump off of mountains as long as there's a rope attached to my legs and stuff. But you know, at the end of the day, I love this fucking shit, man. Are you having fun? I'm glad you're having fun. We're having fun. We're brought to you by this guy right here.
Lockdown Records presents a Hip Hop Christmas. You'll get such classics as Steve's Nuts Roasted on an Open Fire, A Sleigh Ride in My 64, Annie Up Bitch, It's Christmas, and many more. Buy that shit, get this 2 CD set.
Yeah, that's what we're doing today. And I need to get weed. I need to get the fuck out of here and get weed. That's what's going on with me. I don't have any pot. Of course, they told me that, you know, not partaking in marijuana for a while. Well, yeah, it's hard to not be racist. No, it's not that hard. But like really identifying racism is tricky. And like where you have a racial bias, but you like everybody has a racial bias, but do they identify it? Do they realize they have the racial bias, and do they conduct themselves in a way that corrects for the racial bias? And it's like, me personally, should I be taking responsibility for everything society has done wrong to everyone at all times and all places? Probably not. That doesn't seem very logical. That seems a bit absurd. I'm just one dude. I can't, take responsibility for everybody. I'm going to get the weed. Don't tell me what to do, William. No. Are you threatening me? I have time. I have nothing but time today. It's my day off. Oh, I do have to call that one guy and tell him that I'm taking the day off. But no, it has nothing to do with my job. Everything's fine. Everyone's cool. We're all bigoted. Yes, that's true. Whereas my good friend liked to say, big it Oops, it said bid it. I meant big it. Damn it! See, type big it. Yeah, we all have biases. We're all bigoted. I'm so sorry. All right, we'll give Graham only has one person watching, and I have two, so we'll go back to Graham's channel. Poor Graham. Give him a little more airtime. I don't know. This is what we do. That's what we're doing today. You think we should go in the stream? We could enter works with me streaming on a stream, but we could find out.
To even speak of
Give me a thumbs up for yes.
A God in that sense being created as such is just a contradiction in terms, right? It doesn't make any sense. So when Mormons talk about, people becoming gods and ruling over their own planets and having spirit babies and eventually being worshipped by the children that populate the worlds that they eventually organize, all that has nothing to do with the Bible. But the Bible does have a doctrine of man's exaltation, but it's always going to be an exaltation that preserves the creator-creature distinction. We are never going to be anything other than creatures who owe our entire worship to the triune God. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. All right, let's get back to this, folks. So, what's going on in John 10? Yeah, so Bible Karen's says we're baptized after. So my point was just to say that Scripture, the reformers were concerned to make it clear that while baptism is a sign and seal of regeneration and the remission of sins, and may ordinarily coincide with regeneration and remission, it's not itself
What Anthony is ignoring here is that the Reformers disagree with Baptist theology on this believer's baptism. You are baptized in water after you are born again. The Reformers didn't believe that. They had a different view of baptism. So, yes, I'm indebted to the Reformers for some good that they did, but they also killed my people. They murdered Baptists who disagreed with them.
Okay, so wait. So you have like a generational grudge against people who killed Baptists a long time ago. That's nothing to do with you, right? Okay.
And Anthony's
making sure I got that part. Yeah. Because like me being really mad because the Catholics killed what was that guy? Galileo, right? They like forced him into exile and shit. There's another guy, Copernicus and Galileo, I think, were both persecuted by the Catholic Church. So I should continue going on being mad at the Catholics for that shit, right?
Inextricably tied to salvation, such that a person can't be saved apart from it, right? And so what somebody would have to do in terms of the patristic literature is not just show that the fathers linked baptism and regeneration and remission, but that they thought of these two things as so inseparably united that one couldn't have one without the other. right? Okay. Now let's get back to this topic here. What's going on in John 10? Let's remember what this quote said. This is the Arian that we're responding to here. He says, Jesus claimed that God was his father was misunderstood by the Jewish leaders, especially inasmuch as they inferred that he was claiming equality with God. Okay. So we've already seen that this is precisely what the Jews understood in John 5. Now, from the logic of what's going on in John 5, their reasoning follows, right? They weren't wrong. Okay. Jesus implicates himself into divine works. He identifies himself together with the Father and as the Son of the Father. As
it seems very problematic because he says that, you know, Jesus is like, you know, people can't be God. I'm the only person that can be like God because I am God, but you can't do that. Not you, just me. I'm the only one. And I don't, like, yeah, he implicates himself. He literally inserts himself into like, nope, I'm the only guy who can be like God. You can't be like God. You could be a lot like me, and I'm a lot like God, but you can't do what I do. I'm the guy.
As himself, one who has
dude
been
playing the dude
throughout the past,
pretending to be another dude.
Engaged with the Father in works of divine providence. Okay, which include upholding and governing the world, the very thing Scripture explicitly ascribes to him elsewhere. Colossians 1, Hebrews 1, 1 Corinthians 8, right? Psalm 102, Hebrews 1, 10. Over and over again, Scripture ascribes to Christ not only creation, but providence. And that's how the Jews understood Jesus in John 5, and so that's how they understood his claim to sonship. This person is saying the Jews misunderstood him, and then Jesus later goes on to finally address this misapprehension. So apparently, according to this guy, Jesus did not correct them on that earlier occasion. So in John...
So Jesus was slow, according to this guy. Finally, he corrects them. No.
Which is also interesting because
he absolutely...
it wasn't just, Jesus was supposed to be slow, Moses was supposed to be slow, like these guys were not super intelligent guys, so they were like, I had to rely on, this other dude, drop a phone or translate something for me, or say something because I had a speech impediment or something, like, but these are the guys that are talking to God. Okay, I mean, I get that, sort of, but why are they all like that? Why?
Absolutely was claiming to be God. And he claimed it more and more clearly as time went on. He didn't let them believe that he was God for ages.
Nope.
And then all of a sudden, halfway through the book of John,
he was like my age when he died, right? He was like a 30-something-year-old dude. It wasn't like he lived to be an old man. He got crucified pretty early.
Ministry, he suddenly says, "Oh no, you've misunderstood me. I'm not God."
That's not...
No, he's dogmatically proclaiming to be God the whole way through.
Yeah.
John 5, the Jews thought Jesus was claiming to be God. If Jesus was a Unitarian, this would have been blasphemy, and yet Jesus didn't correct them on that occasion.
I don't think there was even a Unitarian faith at that point. Like, it didn't exist.
No, he let them continue to hold that faulty notion. And then in John 8, when Jesus makes a similar claim, before Abraham became I am, and the Jews wanted to pick up stones to stone him.
We're listening to one of Oz's remixes now over at the Tang channel. If you can hear that in the background, just a little background noise for you.
Apparently, Jesus didn't correct them on that occasion either. Rather, he waited until John 10. So here's the great moment where Jesus is going to correct them. And according to this guy, as a result of Jesus correcting them, they're never again going to bring up this claim. They're never again going to bring up this
I don't
claim
believe it.
that he
Oh boy, I'm
is
looking forward
guilty
to
of
hearing him
blasphemy
destroy
of
this.
claiming equality with God by claiming to be the Son. Okay? They're never going to do that again because Jesus in John 10 refutes their misunderstanding. So what's going on in John 10? Let's go back to the passage and look at it.
Fucking
It's
finally.
incredibly
That would have been helpful,
powerful
like,
text. I hope you guys
way back when. But
have not zoned out on me because we're going to see some marvelous
thanks for coming,
things
Jason. Good
here
to see you.
out of the text.
I'll be around.
Okay. In verse 22, we're told something.
Here we go.
That's important. We're told that this is taking place at the time of the Feast of the Dedication. Okay?
What
The
is
Feast
that?
of the Dedication was
That sounds
not
scary.
a biblically ordained feast.
No, I would imagine
That means
not.
it was not a feast that was ordained in the Old Testament. Moses ordained
Sounds
from
like a
God
pagan
certain feasts that the Jews were to observe 3 times a year. They were supposed to go up to Jerusalem for certain feasts. There were other things.
That's funny, because when you search Feast of the Dedication, they're talking about Hanukkah, the Jewish observance. Wow. Holy shit. We've solved this mystery. Scooby, you hear me, Scooby-Doo? We just solved another mystery using logic. Feast of the Dedication is what they called Hanukkah, but, you know, damn
things
dirty
that they were
Jews.
supposed to do, but 3 times in particular, all males had to go up and celebrate certain feasts. And among all the feasts, not just the ones that they had to go up to Jerusalem for, but among
Oh, I'm not
all the
allowed to
feasts,
make
this
Jew
feast
jokes
was
anymore.
not one
huh?
of them.
Oh, that.
This refers to the event that took place under
Okay.
the Maccabees, which the Jews came to celebrate. So it happens after the Mosaic period, after the prophetic period. It takes place during the intertestamental period, right? In between the testaments, if you will.
Yeah, okay.
And so because it was a significant event, the Jews decided to celebrate it.
Yeah.
However,
Somebody has a problem with that.
because it was not a biblically ordained feast, the Jews wanted to make sure that they did not celebrate it in any way that was displeasing to God. And so what they did was they patterned the celebration of the Feast of Dedication after the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay, this is significant. They patterned the way they observed the Feast of Dedication after the Feast of Tabernacles. In fact, one of the ways that the Jews referred to the Feast of the Dedication was as Second Tabernacles. And so if you want to know how the Jews celebrated the Feast of
Oh my
Dedication,
goodness.
pretty much all you have to do
The
is go to the Old
tabernacle-
Testament and look at how the Old Testament says the Jews were to celebrate
I really
the
don't
Feast
have
of
to
Tabernacles.
do any of that. Like, they're just having an additional feast out to the church. You have some kind of fucking issue with it. Doesn't make any sense. Like, why? Why do you care that these guys get to have a feast outside of the tabernacle? Like, you, are you talking about, like, it doesn't really matter. And this is why religion is so fucking boring. Because it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Nobody wants to come in and convince me of God. Hillary's emails, made me realize that I don't have a defensible argument against deism in the sense, the context that's being spoken about. So, hey, I've got that. I could be a potential agnostic deist. I'm agnostic to deism, but the rest of this shit doesn't make any type of sense to me. At all. It's freaking weird, man. Like, they're just mad because these guys were having a feast and the other Jews weren't invited, I guess. Wealth inequality is a serious problem, right? We can see that. That's a product of capitalism. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with religion, because religion preaches all kinds of shit about whether you're going to, give in order to receive. You're going to receive because you gave, or you're going to pray and then good stuff's going to happen to you. I don't know. I don't know. What I know is that people do notice when you do good things for other people, and they will tend to reciprocate when they can. And people are people, so why should it be that you and I should get along so splendidly? I mean, we can just, can't we all just get along? Help, I'm being oppressed. It's logic! Logic! My voice is a little scraggly right now. I was doing a lot of shouting yesterday. A good type of shouting, not the bad type of shouting. And I'm supposed to be working on that track with sending it to complete with Tobin. Probably do that in the next day or so when I have some free time. Because I've been extremely focused on me time and making sure I can compartmentalize my work life and my other life, whatever that is, which is mostly this. So thank you for coming. Thank you to Secular Pig and Mum, Hillary's emails, Jason Jacoby, Jason Dutch, William Freeman, everybody who participates here. Oh yeah, no problem. I see Hillary's emails. Shit happens. Shit happens, and it's all good. I appreciate the good conversation and you stopping by. What am I looking at? I'm looking at one last thing before we go, and that is the situation in Iran, because I think it's important. It's ongoing. Channels covering this extensively, like Atheist Republic. But let's see if we can find something recent to look at. And no, not Jordan B. Peterson. I stand to go without that opinion. Oh, and they had executed a few men in relation to the protest, which is terrible. Nope, that's not the one either.
Made a comeback into Iran, Isfahan, Arak or Kasvin. Videos have emerged of protesters across the country, undeterred by the threat of riot police. The timing of the protest is no coincidence. It marked 40 days since authorities publicly executed 2 men for their involvement in the protests. Some experts say a new phase in the movement has begun.
And what we see now is a political organization of the Iranian society in order to kind of carry on another phase of that confrontation with the state, with political demands. And we have also 2 days ago 20 unions and organizations within Iran who have signed a common letter. So they have come to a common demand asking for change, for separation of church and the state, for equal pay for women and men. So we are very much into the women life freedom movement yet, for the release and conditional release of all political prisoners.
And with those demands, potential political alternatives are
she got that goofy eye, but I don't, it doesn't bother me. She's pretty cute. Oh, did I say that?
emerging. Earlier this month, a group of prominent exiled opposition figures called for unity and said an agreement was in the works, one that would lay the groundwork for a new pluralistic system, eventually leading to free elections. Among those figures, Reza Pahlavi, son of the Shah who was overthrown in 1979, journalist Masih Alinejad.
Is that a statue of the dude behind him? Like his predecessor? Is that a statue? That's creepy. I just in my mind, but
Canada-based activist Hamed Asmailion, and Nobel Peace Prize laureate Shireen Ebadi. The renewed calls for a regime change from inside and outside the country have become the most serious challenge to Iran's theocracy since the Islamic Revolution.
for some reason, because we got a few minutes left, I guess we're watching this one. We're gonna see a school kid blasted by a cop. Uh-oh. Trigger warning. Fatal police shooting during middle school pickup. That's one hell of a way to end the stream.
Looks like it's gonna be a Ford. I guess he's going to be in the backseat of the white Lexus. It's going to be called. What's going on?
Wow, calm thoughts for me, just looking for my little brother, huh?
Absolutely.
Cool,
So,
yeah,
so what's
just
the
looking
deal?
for my little brother.
Okay, who's the little brother?
Eddie's, Chase Ward.
Okay. Forgot who the little
Why
brother
do you
was?
just-
No,
Some two different
no,
names.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you, man.
Okay.
Why are you touching my arm, bro? Let go.
Why are you acting like this?
I'm a little nervous because I don't like cops.
Why?
I have anxiety. They've done things to me.
What have they done to you?
I mean, stop resisting when you're not resisting.
Was that PD or us?
Who knows?
Because we're different, right? We're the SO.
I don't know. You treat us all. I mean, I'm not just trying to disrespect you, nothing, but it's just like I'm just a normal guy, just trying to get my brother. You know.
You said we treat you. What?
I
don't know. I don't even know who you are.
Yeah. No information on this guy. Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
Cool.
Right.
I'm just here to pick up my little brother, man. I'd like to just.
So,
Oh, who did I do? I mean, who did I just do?
What's your little brother's name? Did you not? Yeah. He gave two
Just
different
by
names.
trying to get my brother.
They said that you were going around trying to mess with doors and open up
Mess
cars.
with, no, dude, the fucking car looked. I thought. Oh my
So
god.
what did you do? I just want to hear your side of the story, man.
Oh, you're talking, dude. I straight up thought that was my freaking my car. That's all it was.
You thought it was your car
Yeah.
over here, and you were looking for your brother, but
He's in the backseat of some other guy's car looking for his brother. Can't remember his name. He's just messing around with other cars. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I straight up thought that was my car.
Okay.
I seen the people.
What car was it?
I thought it was my mom. I was yelling at her. I was yelling at her. Because I knew she was in there. I don't even know that lady.
Yeah, I know. That's what she was
If his
freaking out
friends
about.
had been smarter, he could have just hopped into this fucking car and gotten the fuck out of there, right? But for some reason, they decided to stick around and wait for the
Right,
cops
but
to
she
show
was
up.
like, oh, but when she started driving, I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, oh man.
This dude's
And
high
then-
as a fucking
And I
guy.
was like, lady, I'm sorry. I was like, I did not mean, you know. Yeah, that's what happened. So,
Are you under the influence of anything?
No.
Okay. You have an ID with you? Do you have any weapons? Do you have?
And then he starts going through his pockets.
I had a pocket.
You don't think so? Don't
Make a cop nervous by going through your pockets.
What you just stick in your mouth?
He just fucking tried to swallow his drugs right in front of him.
In the
beginning,
God created the heavens and the earth.
Not this guy. This is Jordan B. Peterson again.
Turns out that a book is more.
Michael B. Jordan, whoever these fucking people are. Nobody cares about your middle initial.
What you just stick in your mouth? Dude, a fucking pill. What's a pill? Let me go.
Okay, that's a severe overreaction. He just fucking tears him out of the car over that. No, dude, just trying to get rid of some drugs, man. That's all he did.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
He just fucking ripped the fuck out of him.
Stop.
That sucks.
Stop.
What a shitty reaction. So that's not how you should respond to that situation. Not at all. We can watch it back here and kind of laugh about it. Man, that sucks.
Stop resisting, bro. Stop. Shots fired. Shots fired. Shots fired.
Wait, when did he shoot him? I missed shots fired. Did he already fired on him? Because I did not see that. I'm not going to back it up, but I saw him just peel this guy out of the fucking car and shove him to the ground. That's what I saw. And now he's got a gun drawn.
Hey, stop.
What just happened? He...
Stop moving. Did you shoot him? Did you guys shoot him? Is my son shot? Did you shoot a rubber bullet?
A fatal rubber bullet?
Did you shoot him, dude? Did you shoot him? Did you shoot him? No! You shot him?
Stay in the car.
Stop, man. Baby, stop. Sir, hey, I want your name to pass over man right now.
Dude.
Hey, I'm not doing nothing. Sir, can I talk to you, man? Hold on real quick. Just let us figure out what's going on, okay? Hey. That's great.
I did not see...
Are you stop? Thank you. No talking. Oh my god. I'll give all my...
Wait, we have to go back. No, we have to go back to this situation. How did that just... I saw him peel him out of the car.
In your back, bro. Stop. Stop resisting.
Now they're fighting him on the ground.
Stop.
Oh, there it was. Now I heard the pop.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
He shot him point blank too, right up against him, with a muffle like that.
It's alright, it's okay. Hey, stop. It's okay, stop moving. Did you shoot him? Did you guys shoot him? Is my son shot? Did you shoot him with rubber bullets?
What the fuck?
Babe, stop. We have to call the cops. Call the cops. Call the cops and report that officer right now. Get a sergeant down here and report him. Get a sergeant down here. Call 911 right now and get a sergeant down here. Sir, can you call a sergeant down here? They're coming. Okay, trust me, just hang tight, okay? Yes, sir.
Looks like he might have popped him in the nose, and dude reacted by pulling his gun. He was checking his face. You see that?
Yes, we got more officers coming. Did you guys call 911? Yes, that was the first thing we did. We haven't done nothing, sir. Hey, sir, we haven't done anything wrong. Can you guys do some more? All right, we're gonna shut the door. Checking on him. Put your gloves on. I got my gloves on. Okay.
Hang on.
It's the most opportune timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought initially it looked like a third party had run up, but I think it's just the woman in the passenger seat who's freaking out. He peeled the guy out of the car, got into a scuffle with him, and then decided to draw his gun and shoot him point blank is what it looked like, but the video's kind of grainy. So
yeah, it's very difficult for me to see, but if you're saying he got punched in the nose, then I can understand the use of lethal force, even though he's got a taser right there. Why didn't he use that? But he might say that his left hand was occupied and he wasn't able to move. You know, it's hard to say. Although you'd think he would use an ASP baton instead of firearm be the first thing he went to.
Yeah, and they had that another incident with the guy who tried to take off in the, I don't remember what state it was in, but the female police officer in that incident said she accidentally drew the firearm instead of the taser, and ended up drawing down and shooting him when he was occupying a car. So, I mean, that I could see that happening.
Yeah, there was an elderly guy that was a reserve deputy in, I think it was Oklahoma City, and he did the same thing. He thought he was going for his taser, and I think he even said something like taser, taser, and then pow! It's like, oh shit, I grabbed the wrong one.
Yeah, that's a shitty situation. And unfortunately, because the guy is dead, we won't really be able to get his side of the story, because he initially claimed he was there to pick up his younger brother, and then he said, well, I thought that was my mom in the car, and he was banging on some car windows or something. But it sounds like they might have just been trying to commit some petty crimes and just got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then you get this outcome, which is absurd.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder whether if law enforcement didn't intervene in a situation like this, maybe the guy might have jacked a car, somebody would have been inconvenienced, but at the end of the day, nobody would have had to be hurt in the process. Right? In this situation, this guy ends up dead.
Yeah, but that's fundamentally a difference between the California and the Texas way of thinking, and other states too. Other states have. I originally came from Kansas, and it's different law up there. But the thing is, once he put himself in that position to break into cars or whatever it was he was doing, and then he's high, so he's not thinking clearly. I mean, he's made a series of bad decisions up to this point, and then it just finally culminated in him winning the Darwin Prize.
Well, but we've assessed, though, the cop probably acted in a way that wasn't completely appropriate. So should the cop have some level of accountability there for drawing his gun when he probably didn't need to?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I would have gone for a less lethal level of force first, but I don't know what his statement is. Maybe he'll say that, he had his left hand on the guy and the guy had grabbed his wrist, and so his right hand was the only thing that was free.
Yeah, from what we saw, it looked like they were fairly entangled. So you could say maybe the guy seemed to have a little bit of leverage on him, and maybe the guy could have gotten his gun. Which I've heard that argument too, where if the cop's not carrying a gun, then becomes a non-issue, right? If the cop's carrying a gun, he automatically has to worry about whether or not his suspect can get a hold of that gun. If he doesn't have the gun, it becomes a non-issue. Now you're just back to basic physical force without the use of a lethal weapon.
Well, again, depending on the state, when that guy punched the cop in the nose, if the cop had blacked out, he'd been totally vulnerable and could have had his weapon stolen and shot. So that would have justified.
But he also had.
But I wouldn't.
He also had a partner at his side, though. He wasn't alone. There's obviously he had a partner on scene with him, so that wasn't
And what was the partner doing?
We don't see the person come up until the altercation takes place. That's when we see the second officer in this particular body cam footage. So I don't know when the other officer arrived.
So he had called for the other person, given his location and what car the guy was suspected to be in, but the other person didn't come up until after the fact. So he might not have even known that they were there. I don't know. It's a crappy situation. I'd be interested to hear what his version of things was and have him explain why he chose to go with the pistol instead of something else.
Yeah, I'd say that's reasonable.
The main thing is,
so this is pretty recent.
Yeah, the main thing is don't do drugs and then go out in public, because you're not going to be controlling your actions. Then you're going to get into doing some sort of stupid crime that is maybe just trying to, burglarize a vehicle, and then it turns into you punching a cop and getting shot. So just don't start it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there are people they say they can handle their shit, and others can't. Some people can handle, doing some substances and have a good time and get on with life, and then other people they end up in these types of situations. And if you see yourself leaning towards these types of situations, then drugs probably aren't for you.
Right.
I don't know. That should be kind of basic human knowledge. Like, yeah, we can use substances at times to change our perspective, to enlighten ourselves, but there's a time and a place where we can do that appropriately, and then most of the time is not that time and place, if that makes any sense.
Right. And definitely don't get high before you go out commit a bunch of crimes. It's not going to go well.
Yeah, or end up in a school zone. I mean, that should be the biggest deterrent when you're around a bunch of kids for whatever reason. Like, yeah, you probably don't want to be high and drunk in that environment. There's a reason we prohibit that behavior.
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you think about just like these body cam vids and things we get on the internet? Is there a lack of like a broader perspective where we're just seeing the situation from start to finish in real time, but we're not actually seeing what led up to the situation? What I mean? Like, and then we start to draw these conclusions from a short video like the one we were just watching. What was that guy? We don't know what that guy went through that day, what either of these people, the police or the suspect, had gone through prior to this incident, right? So we're judging them based on just a single situation that happened in a very short span of time. Do you think that kind of...
Yeah, it's extreme tunnel vision because it's such a narrow focus, so you don't know what's happening to the sides and behind. But the main thing is it puts a check on the officer's testimony, because if he says things went a certain way and it's clear from the video that they definitely did not go that way, then that impugns all of his testimony. But if it goes, if in line with what he's saying, and then he says, I looked off to the left and saw this, and that's why I did that, then you got to incorporate those extra bits of information.
Yeah, because, even the police officer could be fallible, right? Because he's human. But if he made the best judgment call he could have in the moment, then that's what we're looking for.
Right. Well, I mean, the guy just did so many things. I mean, the suspect did so many things wrong. He's lying. Oh, I'm here to pick up my brother, and then he gives some weird name, and he's like, huh? And, oh, I'm messing with you. I'm just messing with you. Okay, so you've already lied during an investigation. What else? So the probable cause is racking up, and then he goes patting in his pockets and then pulls out drugs to swallow them. Well, you should just have said, no, I don't have a driver's license, but and then either said, I don't want to give you my name unless I'm under arrest. I mean, in Texas, that's the law. Unless you're under arrest, you don't need to identify yourself.
Okay, so I do find that interesting. Like, I've never witnessed that before. Like, pulling a guy out of the vehicle for swallowing drugs. It was very obviously what he was doing. Like, you couldn't mistake it for something else.
Yeah.
Was that excessive force, do you think?
No, that's
unnecessarily.
That's by the book training. I put that in the chat. I grab him by the throat to preserve the evidence and prevent its destruction. I mean, that's textbook.
Oh, okay, I see that, yeah. And you could even maybe like force regurgitation, so he couldn't even necessarily ingest it. Yeah.
Correct. You got to get it out.
But I'd say to do that, you would have to have some sufficient paramedic training. Otherwise, you're kind of you're risking you're making a judgment call you may not be qualified to make in that instance.
Well, you go by policy, so there is no judgment. You choke him so that he can't swallow it, and then you make it so until he spits it out, he's not going anywhere. And then, when you get back up, then the two of you can do something.
See, I'm so much more used to the tactic where if they find it on you in the first place, right, prior to this instance, but in my experience, when I had illicit substances, the police would always destroy them, and they would do it right in front of me. And they would be, you know, pretty hostile about it. They'd be like, but this, you know, this is not the worst thing that could happen to you while they're stomping your stuff into the ground, you know? Like,
Right.
So is that sending a message to deter from this situation, you think? Or
Well, it's just saying if you're honest about what you got and you're not trying to hide it, you just admit, yeah, I've got this. Then if it's pills or weed, you know, you can stamp on it. But this guy just did everything wrong. And they don't know what he's trying to swallow. You know, is he swallowing fentanyl? It's going to kill him. Is this another George Floyd? So, you know, you got to make sure he isn't killing himself, basically.
yeah, and I'd say the precursor to that, which we could all say the guy did objectively wrong, when he asked for the ID and the guy started digging through his pockets pretty aggressively. At that point, the officer could have responded, and he waited the additional step to see him put whatever he put in his mouth, right? So that was actually an act of restraint.
Yeah, I didn't see that part of the video, but yeah, he could have either told him, "Hey, stop. You know, stop patting your pockets. You know, tell me which pocket it's in, and I'll get it." There's a number of ways he could have handled it differently. And he says he's with the sheriff's office, so it's not just the school police. You would think, since he's working second shift, that he's had some experience by now, because usually you start on third shift. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of questions that this brings up, and we, just by viewing it, really aren't going to get those answers.
Yeah, he looked pretty young. Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, we're only going to get so many answers. We're just doing the best to assess the situation. The one thing I can say from my experience in life, one thing that I do, I always carry my wallet, my ID in my wallet, and it's always in the same pocket. And so if I'm asked for identification, I say, hey, it's in this pocket. I'm going to reach back and grab it. Is that okay? Anytime I'm dealing with law enforcement, you know, it's in this pocket. Do you want me to grab it? Do you want to grab it? Whatever you want to do. So I'm not reaching in my pockets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and in Texas, you can just ask, am I under arrest? And then we're going to say some nonsense like, oh, you know, what do I need to arrest you for? Or something. That's not the question. Am I under arrest? If not, I'm free to leave, and I'm going to. If I'm under arrest, then I'll do what's required by law, which is give name, residential address, and birth date. But you're not required to ID yourself until they tell you you're under arrest. Even if you're in handcuffs, that's an investigative detention. It's not an arrest.
Yeah, well, and I was taken for that. I was even taken to jail, but I was being lawfully detained. I was never placed under arrest. And I got an official notice receiving me as such that was sent to me that I received. So I was lawfully detained for 48 hours without being legally placed under arrest, apparently, which I didn't know was a thing until it happened to me.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I don't know. In Houston, unless the DA is willing to accept the charge, we can't book a person. But the city police can leave you in a holding cell, basically, and forget you. I mean, you're supposed to be turned over to the sheriff as soon as possible. But if you're in a holding cell and they don't have any room in the jail, then you might be in a holding cell for a week before you get booked.
I find that's one of the tactics they use to find out how you're going to behave. Once you get into the situation, like what I was in, it seems like they leave you in the holding cell for as long as possible to see whether you can interact with the other inmates, if you're going to get yourself into deeper shit. And then if you get yourself into deeper shit, yeah, they're going to probably house you. But if not, if you can manage to maintain in that situation, they find, usually they'll try to release you, if that's an option. So,
yeah, they're hoping you're going to do something that they can get you for in addition to the initial charge, because chances are the initial charge is BS anyway. And as long as you play it cool, you don't, decide to start confessing everything under the sun. You give a minimum amount of information and let them know you're not going to violate your own rights. And no matter what kind of BS line they give, just maintain that. You know, I'm observing my constitutional rights. If I'm under arrest, let me know. I need to contact an attorney, and be sure to just say attorney in basically every other sentence.
Right. Yeah, and you know, people in law enforcement, for the most part, I think, are keen enough to realize that they're dealing with those two schools of people. The three schools. All right, you've got just regular people, just living everyday life, and then you've got people on this one side of the spectrum where they are living a criminal lifestyle. Like this is and a lot of them will profess it. They'll be vocal about it, even if they're still trying to exercise their constitutional rights. They cannot help but brag about being a criminal for whatever reason, whatever they're doing. And then you have the other people who are, you know, probably more on the law enforcement end of the spectrum, like, and they want law and order, they want justice, they're very, you know, about minding their business and all of that, but they can still end up caught up in the system too. So, and when you're actually dealing with the business of law enforcement, of criminal justice, you have to deal with all of these people on this spectrum, where some of them are kind of neutral, some of them are more on your side, and then others are definitely not on your side. And then you kind of have to kind of play the game from there, right? It's a friend, enemy, neutral, it's game theory, right? As you've said, it kind of goes into this.
Exactly.
This cosmic game of Monopoly. I'm going to do the universal pizza theory here soon. I like that one because the guy I had to force off of the bus a couple nights ago, ironically, is the guy who gave me the cosmic pizza idea in the first place. He's a really nice guy. He comes around, gives everybody at the bus stop free pizza when he gets a chance. But sometimes he just has a hard time dealing with people, like, you know, and I had to be the guy to tell him to piss off, you know, and I felt bad. I was trying to help him, but I could only do what I could do.
What is this universal pizza concept?
So it was kind of a lay theory that, if we're equating existence, life is kind of like a pizza, and we all kind of need the pizza to exist. It doesn't matter what flavor pizza. We all need the pizza to exist. And there's a number of slices on this pizza, and everybody needs the pizza. We all depend on the pizza, and we are dependent upon the pizza. So, okay, so if we're... I'm overstepping my philosophical bounds here. So... we all have to partake in a slice of the pie, regardless of what flavor it is. And it's best that we share this pie with everybody else. Because if we take all the pie for ourselves, we're probably just going to get overstuffed, and then other people are going to want some, and we're not going to... It's just... So it's better to just share a slice of the pie and try to get along with people. I don't know, the cosmic pizza. Because we all have to share it at the end of the day anyway. Or deal with people being hungry and upset.
That's an excellent philosophy.
I'm working on it. I call it bus stop philosophy. So, yeah, we'll get there eventually. I'm working my way up to it, but... Oh. Well, I am, like, fresh out of content matter and on my way to taking a shower and getting my hair trimmed finally. Do you have any interesting plans for the rest of the day? You just hanging out?
No, I did some yard work earlier, took a shower, and then came in here.
Excellent. Do you do your own content, or do you just like come and provide valuable insight to other people?
I've only been coming on panels for not all that long.
I know. I see you all the time in side chats, and I'm like, I've only heard you speak very recently.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the time I didn't have a mic.
Got you. Well, it sounds beautiful on this end.
Thank you.
I guess we'll wrap it up as I do. We, us here, they, them. Me, person, Trusty Ape, saying thank you to everyone. Much love. Be well. Stay trusty. At Jason, I've got 2 Jasons. I gotta say hi, both Jasons. William Freeman, Secular Pagan Mom. I hope we didn't piss you off too bad. I love Secular Pagan Mom. She's the best. Of course, you, Hillary's emails for coming by. I had somebody else earlier, Bree from Hive Science. We're supposed to be talking, I think, more about Beatles next week, and that'll be fun. Doing shows here on Sundays and Mondays, also on Twitch, and Stupid Monkey Philosophy and Patreon on Fridays and Saturdays. So keep us busy all through the weekend. And I will end the stream now. And lovely talking to you. And hang out as long as you want. Or not. That's cool. Alright. Figure out some logical way to end a broadcast.